But now I'm going back to the relationship between the capacity of a muscle to contract and basically the body fat of the same muscle. So that means that the sympathetic innervation is responsible for the muscle quality and for getting rid of the fat of that muscle, if you want. There's a correlation between the two. So I thought that was fairly interesting. So that means that a sympathetic direct reaction into the muscle could mean burning the fat in that muscle. So what would that mean the other way? That means a muscle in freeze that is in the parasympathetic will necessarily carry more fat, which is exactly what we saw. So I was like, all right, so that's interesting. So I'm like, all right, so that means that if I'm right, a muscle that is in freeze that we cannot fight, what would I need to do to get it to contract and lose fat? I would need to provoke a sympathetic reaction. 80% of the sympathetic innervation is in the skin. So if I were to create pressure on the skin to the point of creating a sympathetic reaction, I could take the muscle that is in freeze and put it into flight. And if I'm right, that should trigger a massive fat loss and a rebound in muscle quality. That makes sense so far? Right, yeah. And they're wrong. Because we proved it. Yeah, I know. Right, so how would I provoke a sympathetic reaction through the skin? Neoprene. So I put people in neoprene, made them do strength training, and basically created a massive reaction where we saw an increase in muscle quality and a decrease in muscle fat, a spot reduction, exactly like I thought would happen. We tested that, like Wim just put the study on the StrongFit community, if you want to look at it. We tested it on 203 people. We saw an increase in muscle quality and all that stuff up to 38% just by using the neoprene. That's the lady, by the way, that I was talking about, that, you know, the marathon runner who had a 3% drop in body fat. We did it through the neoprene. She had the left tricep was like 10% higher body fat on the left and on the right, and we basically equalized both just by using the neoprene over under 8 weeks, I think, something like that. Maybe 2-3 months max. I did it through getting a trigger of the melanocortin axis while not changing the food intake, calorie intake. Because losing the fat was not a calorie intake stuff, it was just a stimulation of the sympathetic nervous system. So by the way, what did I do? They were in freeze, I put the muscle in flight. Anybody who's done a hard training session with a neoprene can tell you, you freak out, but very interestingly, you don't freak out everywhere. The muscles that are in freeze get very warm, and that's the one that makes you panic. If you stay within the muscles that are not warm, you're fine. You touch, suddenly me was the left upper pec. The second I put the jacket and it presses, I started to get almost like the thing you get, almost like a panic attack. Heart rate went up, basically ended up in flight because I took a muscle that was in freeze and put it in flight, which right away triggered a drop in body fat I did not see on the other muscles that were not in freeze, which makes sense if you look at it from my perspective. So we have triggered the melanocortin axis through the neoprene. So we created spot reduction and quite an increase in strength over time and stuff like that. So that I thought that was very, very, very interesting. So now we can take this even further.